couldn't film on location, so they made it. Movies are so back. That's how movies are made. Welcome back to Movies Are So Back, the YouTube movie review channel where I, Ethan Simmie, ask the question, are movies so back? All praise the religious thriller subgenre because movies are so back and Conclave is so good. It's one of the best movies of 2024. And I can't wait to talk about it. Now, this is kind of the continuation of my Academy Awards coverage here on the channel. I know we still have more than 100 days until March 2nd, the biggest night in Hollywood, until we find out who the Best Picture winner is. I've talked about Anora, I've talked about The Brutalist, now I'm talking about Conclave, what I think are really the three front runners for that Best Picture Academy Award. Every single year, I try to correctly guess the nominees and winners of the biggest categories at the Academy Awards. Of course, Best Picture is the most important of those. I never seem to get any more right than anybody else, even though I just obsessively follow the Academy Awards, the completely made up and pointless awards show. But maybe this year will be different. Maybe Conclave will win and one of my more underdog predictions will come true. But we'll talk about that at the very end of the video. Let's choose a new pope, Conclave style. Now, this is a new religious thriller starring Ralph Fiennes, Stanley Tucci, John Lithgow, and Isabella Rossellini. And it follows the very secretive process of deciding a new pope. Ralph Fiennes plays Cardinal Lawrence, who is in charge of this big process of voting on and deciding a new pope. Cardinals are flown in from all over the world for this process, and something crazy happens at the end when they finally choose a new pope. Now, I'm going to spoil this movie, not right now, but I will spoil it in about 5 or 6 minutes. So if you want spoilers, if you want my thoughts on the ending, one of the most shocking endings of a movie maybe in the last 5 or 10 years of movie making, then jump to that spot. But I'm going to stay spoiler-free real fast. The movie is essentially just men talking in rooms. I love movies about men talking in rooms. When they're done poorly, they are terrible. But when they're done well, they are excellent. And Conclave does it more than well. It does it sublimely and superbly. Now, this movie is directed by Edward Berger, who directed All Quiet on the Western Front back in 2022. That film garnered 9 Academy Award nominations and walked home with 4 wins. If that is any prescription to what we might see for Conclave, I think that bodes very well for this movie. 2 very different movies. All Quiet on the Western Front, massive in scope, a period piece about the war. Huge movie. Conclave, much smaller, much tighter, especially script-wise. I think this script is one of the best of 2024. Every single sentence and every single decision by every cast member packs a punch and is meaningful in some way or another. The movie is kind of like if Succession took place in the Vatican, and I love that. I think Succession is the greatest television show that's ever been made, and I just want to rewatch it every single day. So to have any semblance of that is always exciting. The score, especially, doesn't mimic, but takes great inspiration from that kind of idea, that vibe of Succession. And it's kind of always boiling underneath this movie, which I think is really effective. There is always some kind of score driving us to where things are happening next. And when we get those explosive moments in the movie, the score really ramps up and builds that tension. And when it releases, it is truly kind of a breathtaking experience. There are so many times when I was watching Conclave where I was just like that's happening, and then you finally get to a point where the score crescendos and you can kind of catch your breath. It's astounding filmmaking, really. All of the performances in Conclave are really exceptional. I think Ralph Fiennes is operating on a career best for sure. He delivers something that only he can deliver and is kind of the perfect setting for what he's able to deliver. I think Stanley Tucci is really lights out in this movie. Isabella Rossellini gets like one big moment, but it's such a delicious, fantastic moment. And, even John Lithgow is really good in this movie. I just think all of the pieces really come together to make the script work in a way that it should work. Now, I mentioned I'm going to spoil the movie. We are entering spoiler territory very, very quickly to talk about the ending of Conclave. Of course, the movie follows this new Cardinal Benitez, who shows up out of nowhere. Essentially, nobody knows who he is. He takes place in the voting process, and lo and behold, he ends up winning the papacy and becomes the new pope, who is named Innocent, which deeper video, I think, is a brilliant stroke in this movie. This is the shocking, truly shocking moment of the film in which we find out that Cardinal Benitez is, in fact, intersex, presents as a man but has female genitalia. It is shocking, for sure. Does it warrant a much larger conversation? I think maybe a small conversation. It might not have a ton of sticking power outside of the shock value of something like this, but it does warrant a conversation about how societal standards view godliness and how that might present, especially within a corrupt organization and facet so intricate and imperative to the history of the world like Catholicism is. I actually like this twist better on a rewatch. Of course, it's shocking the first time that you see it, but when I saw Conclave for a second time, I thought it worked really, really well. Some of the shock value wears off, but then you're able to enjoy much more of the intimate conversation happening between Cardinal Benitez and Cardinal Lawrence, and how Cardinal Lawrence specifically is coming to grips with who he is as a man of God, as a figure within the Catholic Church. I think this movie is really an onion situation. You can peel it back and keep getting more thematic value out of what it is showing you. Conclave is almost in my top 10 of 2024. It's just right outside, sitting at number 12 right now, but I wouldn't be surprised if we reach the end of the year, do a little bit of tinkering, and it finds its way into that top 10. It really is that good of a movie. Now let's talk Oscars and Academy Award chances. I briefly mentioned them at the beginning of the video, but let's dive into all of the categories really quickly. I think this is in a very powerful position, number 3, going into the Best Picture race. I think that this is a movie that has the most longevity, has the most staying power, has the most chatter behind it moving into March, and I can really see it overtaking Anora and The Brutalist as we get closer to March 2nd. I just have a feeling that this is the crowd pleaser of the bunch. So, of course, Best Picture, highly likely that we come away with a win for Conclave. I'm not going to bet on it yet, but I think it's highly likely. Best Adapted Screenplay, of course, based on a book. I think it's got a good shot to win that, actually. Best Lead Actor, Ralph Fiennes. I think he's in a good number 2 spot behind Adrian Brody for The Brutalist right now. Best Supporting Actor, Stanley Tucci. Again, a really powerful number 2 spot behind Guy Pearce for The Brutalist. This will be really interesting to see how these acting nominations and wins play out the closer we get to March. Best Supporting Actress for Isabella Rossellini. Could it happen? Maybe. I'm not saying it's going to happen. She's got like I don't know, 65 seconds of speaking in this movie, honestly. But what she does is a mic drop. And I think with her never having won an Academy Award, this could be the moment that the Academy recognizes her. Best Original Score, Best Costume, Best Editing, Best Production Design. They recreated the Vatican. They couldn't film on location, so they made it. Movies are so back. That's how movies are made. I think that's got to be in contention to win for sure. It could sneak into Best Cinematography, but the DP, Stephanie Fontaine, has never won before. Of course, All Quiet on the Western Front did win Best Cinematography in 2022. So there's a chance there, but I think it's slim. All in all, we're looking at 8 nominations. Will it win anything? I think its best shot is going to be at score, production design, and adapted screenplay. I think that it could walk away with some Oscars at the end of the night. Like I said, it's a really powerful underdog right now. I'm really excited to see how Conclave plays out the closer we get to March. So are movies so back? Yes.
We are so very, very back.
Absolutely. The religious thriller, men talking in rooms, a really powerful script with powerful performances, with shocking moments, all crescendoing to a crazy thematic takedown of one of the most revered institutions in history. Yes, movies are so back. Remember to like and subscribe. You can also follow me on Letterboxd to see any of my other movie reviews, and I'll see you in the next video.